Law is a very stressful profession, and this year we have a lot more to be anxious about. How do we recognize the signs of professional burnout, and what can we do to take better care of our mental health? Let's find out. Hello, everyone. My name is Jason, and welcome back to calawloo, the channel for the modern Caribbean attorney. If you're new here, please subscribe and turn on notifications so that you'll know whenever new content is posted. Today, we'll be chatting with Dr. Katija Khan about managing stress. Dr. Katija Khan is a lecturer in clinical psychology at the Faculty of Medical Sciences, UWI St. Augustine campus, and a member of the UWI COVID-19 Task Force. She's an executive council member of the Caribbean Alliance of National Psychological Associations and a past president of the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Psychologists. Dr. Khan has worked in psychology, higher education, and research for over 20 years. She is a passionate lecturer, researcher, clinician, and public advocate promoting mental health and well-being across the Caribbean. Hi, Katija. How are you doing today?
Hi, Jason. I'm doing well today, thanks.
All right, great. You? I'm not doing too bad. I'm trying to manage as best as I can in 2020, just like everyone else. Okay, so it's often said that attorneys are chronically stressed. We're in a profession where everything is urgent, everything is deadline driven. We have a pressure to bill and bring in money. We have filing deadlines of the courts. So how do we manage with all these competing interests? And how do we tell when we've been burnt out?
Okay, so what it sounds like is that you already exist in a high stress environment. And then we have something like this pandemic, which heightens stress levels even more. So I think one of the first steps in managing stress is to recognize when it exists and the impact that it has on us. So we need to recognize that we are facing unprecedented levels of stress, and it has changed many different aspects of our lives, professionally, personally, socially. We've had to make many adjustments. And stress comes with consequences. It takes a toll on us in different ways, and it also affects people different ways. So perhaps I could start with that, looking at how stress affects us. So stress can have psychological consequences. So you might find yourself feeling a little more sad, or irritable, annoyed, angry. You may find your energy levels are varying. You may find that you're snapping at people more. So you do want to pay attention to see if your mood has been changing and what your emotional responses have been. Stress can also affect us cognitively as well. So you may find that you're finding it harder to concentrate, to pay attention, to focus on a task, to remember things that were very easy for you to keep track of. So for example, things that are in your calendar, or the times that you have meetings. So another way it can affect us cognitively is that we become a little more hypervigilant or hyper-aroused. So on our radar, more things might trigger us than usual. So that's another thing to pay attention to. Cognitively can even impact procrastination if you find that your levels of motivation are not what it used to. So it's important to not just recognize this in yourself, but also in your colleagues and your coworkers. Maybe you're seeing some behavior and you're asking yourself, what's going on with that person? It could be that what is going on is it's a stress reaction.
Okay.
Now, a third way stress can impact us is physically. So if you find that you're having more headaches, more aches and pains, muscle tension, indigestion, some of those might be due to stress as well. So it doesn't just have to be psychological and emotional or mental. Stress can take a toll on you physically. And if you do have a pre-existing health condition, it can also make that worse. And finally, stress can affect us socially and behaviorally. So in terms of how we're interacting with others, you may find that maybe you're withdrawing from people. I mentioned before, people might be irritating you a little bit more. It can also affect your behaviors. So your levels of intimacy with your partners. It can affect all levels of substance use. So you want to monitor your intake of caffeine and alcohol and nicotine, because sometimes when stress levels are high, it can cause and increase in the use of substances to a point where it could become problematic as well.
Right. So what you've described there, Katija, sounds like everyday life for many people in our profession. Now, self-care is probably something that most people don't pay attention to. Only when we have a very serious problem that we actually deal with it. So I wanted to get your perspective on how we should manage ourselves and our stress, and when we recognize that we're stressed, what we should do.
So there are a number of different strategies that can help a person to manage in this time, and as you said, moving forward. And one of these is in this stage where we still have some uncertainty, and so we're not quite sure how this pandemic is going to play out. That uncertainty can fuel fear and anxiety. And so what we want to counter that with is some form of certainty. So having a structure, having a schedule to your day helps with that. So you have an idea of what you're going to do today, how you're structuring your activities, you have things to look forward to. So as much as you can, try to maintain a schedule and some structure to your day. So many of us are doing remote work. Part of that structure might mean having a set place in your house where you do work and you separate that space from your leisure space. It could be having a set time that you get up, or your same set routine that you might have at work. So if you're going to make a cup of coffee or sit down at your desk, that's what you would have done in the office. It's what you're doing home as well. So as much as you can, you don't have to be rigid, militaristic about it, but maintaining a routine as much as possible helps. Other ways, some of the basic things for just maintaining good health, which is to continue to nourish your body and making sure you're getting nutritious meals, but also staying hydrated. And also, I need to emphasize this one, it's exercise. Exercise is so good, not just for physical health, but for mental health. So the guidelines are 30 minutes a day, at least 5 days a week. Okay, so wherever you can get that exercise in, make sure you're getting it in to make sure that you're giving as much of a boost to your mental health as possible. The other thing I would suggest to professionals is we talk about staying socially connected, but doing that with your colleagues as well. So remote work can also isolate us because then we're working individually. But as much as possible, and especially if you're not involved in many team projects, you do want to stay connected to your co-workers and your colleagues, and that maintains that professional support and environment of camaraderie where you get that support if you need it, and having a buddy system. So you have somebody you can bounce your ideas off, bounce your frustrations off. So it's really important to keep that connectedness in the professional sphere as well. Sleep hygiene is very important. So usually when we talk about hygiene, people associate it with cleanliness, etc. But there's also a concept called sleep hygiene, and it refers to exactly what it sounds like: the quality, the amount of sleep you're getting, the sleep environment. So how many of us sleep with our phones right next to us, or the phone on the bed, or the laptop is right there? And so just as how you would wind down for the day and have a cutoff time, when it comes to sleep, especially for those of you who are struggling with your sleep, you might want to examine your sleep routine and look at how you are preparing your body to enter into that sleep phase. Are you winding down? Are you disconnecting from the devices and the screens? Are you slowing down and getting into more of a restful and a state of relaxation? So those are some of the things that you can do your own personal audit on your life and see which are the areas that there are gaps. So if you're struggling with sleep, you might want to look at your sleep hygiene.
Well, that's great advice, Katija. Any closing thoughts? Anything you want to leave us with?
Yeah. So the last thing I want to leave you with is one, to remember to be kind to yourself. These are difficult and challenging times for everyone. It's an unprecedented level of stress. And so be kind to yourself. Don't be too harsh on yourself and set high expectations, and then we judge ourselves harshly. So for that, I would say, remember to be flexible and tweak your plan as needs be. So at the end of the day, what I would advise is when you are thinking back on your day, you might think of what one little thing might you tweak tomorrow to improve on your day. The good thing, what I like about that approach is because you're choosing something small, it's something that is more achievable. So you're not setting a very high target where it's more likely you could have a hit or miss. So pick something small that you want to tweak. So whether it is getting up earlier, whether it is having a cutoff time, whether it is I'm going to update my CV, choose something small and you're going to have the benefit of that gain and having achieved something. So be kind to yourself, remember to keep it flexible, and let's be hopeful because we are all going to get through this.
Thank you very much. And I hope that you're taking your own advice as well, Katija.
It's hard. Well, Jason, every evening I have to remind myself as well and be kind to myself. And sometimes I need to tweak the plan.
So how do you manage stress? Let me know in the comments below. Please feel free to like this video and share it with others. Thanks for watching and stay tuned.